The title of today's episode is called Creating a Lifestyle That Aligns with Luxury. First and foremost, my name is Tori, and I'm the founder of Wealth and Wellness by T. Wealth and Wellness by T is a digital marketing wellness brand focusing on content surrounding self-care, wellness, spirituality, and luxury living. I'm a 29-year-old female living in Metro Atlanta, Georgia. I'm also a 200-hour registered yoga instructor, a certified energy healer, a public health professional, and an intuitive bridge among all things holistic. So why this topic? Let me tell you a story that will provide some context as to why I really moved to St. Thomas. I was dealing with a guy, of course, it's always a guy. He was the smartest man I'd ever known, even to this date. He was well versed in business and spirituality, but he was also very arrogant, cocky, and self-absorbed. He didn't live in St. Thomas. He actually still lives in Trinidad and was in Trinidad at the time. And he can't even come to the U.S. or its territories because he's not a U.S. citizen, nor does he have a visa. And over the course of knowing him, he really expanded my mind as far as what I really wanted to achieve in my life. He was the only person I knew in my circle who wanted a life of luxury. And I mean real, true luxury. Private jets, board of directors, at least 20 plus international businesses, serial entrepreneur, philanthropic endeavors, 10 plus bedroom home, the finest suits, access to all the healing modalities, supplements, herbs, etc. I mean, he wanted it all. He was truly creating a life of luxury for himself. So when we first started speaking, he asked me my financial goals and I thought I was pretty simple. I want, 401k, Roth IRA set up, 4 to 5 bedroom home, family, a couple of real estate businesses, and boutique hotels, in the hotel industry. I mean, I had high goals, but not like a private jet or living in a mansion. And I guess I just never put a number on how much money I wanted to make. I mean, really to be a millionaire or a billionaire and to really calculate that and really think about that. I guess I just never did. And so when I told him my goals, he would just laugh. He thought I was thinking too small. So then, of course, my mind started spinning like, am I missing out on something? Am I thinking too small? Maybe he's right. What am I seeing? What is he seeing that I don't see? So fast forward to basically a year and a half of me second guessing my entire life. And he presented me with a business opportunity where we would go overseas and come back multimillionaires. And I believed him. We ended up going in June of 2022, around Juneteenth. And that is where I met him for the first time. And I know you guys are probably thinking, what's wrong with this girl? How could she just get up and travel to meet someone all the way across the world that she's never met? Well, I'm going to just segue for a second and I'll get back to that. And I believe it was February of 2021. And I received my first Akashic record reading. Basically, it's a spiritual reading that reveals your past, your present, and your future, all your records of your life, of your past lives. And the lady, she went over my ancestry, my family dynamics, my purpose, and my love life. And when it came down to discussing my love life, she said I had already actually met my match. She didn't say his name, but when I asked her about the guy from Facebook, she confirmed it was him. And I was prompted to say his name because at the time I wasn't speaking to anyone else. So, I mean, it had to be him. And I was just blown away. I mean, just witnessing my own family dynamics and the relationships for my friends and just being a observing person to life, it was wild that I'd actually found my match. I mean, how many people actually end up with their soulmate, And so outside of being told that I was his spiritual match or that we were each other's spiritual match, intuitively I also felt that we were a match. I mean, we had a lot in common. We enjoyed the same things. We had this, we talked about the same topics, but both of us essentially had to grow and mature on our own paths before we could really coexist. So anyways, that's why I trusted him. And he ended up being a decent guy. He wasn't a serial killer, or he wasn't crazy. He was just a black man with a dream. So we flew first class, stayed in the finest hotel, got room service daily, hotel laundry, the whole nine. After that trip, when I returned home, I realized that's the kind of life I wanted. So when I moved to St. Thomas, I thought, I could have achieved that. Lived in a nice modern villa, drive a luxury four-wheel drive, have all the modern amenities, but living on the island. And then when I got bored, I could just get up and go whenever I wanted. So when none of that happened, and I was living in St. Thomas. When none of that happened, and my living in St. Thomas was the exact opposite, I had to cope, almost pretend in a way. So if you've heard the phrase, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, that was me. So bringing it back full circle, we're going to talk about luxury as a lifestyle and not a destination. When you see or think of wealthy people, what do you envision? Well, I envision time, daily habits, healthy eating, and self-care. For those who are not financially wealthy yet, you can still embody luxury in your daily habits. I mean, slow mornings where you make your bed every day before leaving the house, having morning and bedtime routines, eating with intention, and creating a serene living space. How I embodied luxury was through my morning routine at the time. I get up early, I drink lemon or lime water, make some herbal tea, I go for a walk or do yoga, and then come back home, meditate for 10 to 15 minutes before getting ready for work. I wouldn't even touch my phone until I left the house, ideally once I got to work. But sometimes on the way to work, I would play spiritual music or listen to a podcast, but I still wasn't perusing on social media or texting anyone or returning any emails, things like that. And I even keep it on Do Not Disturb until I got to work. So that's how I embody luxury. And on top of me having a morning routine, I also really try to create daily habits and a serene ambiance in my living space because I hated my job. Me moving there wasn't what I envisioned, and I was miserable. And I had to do something to keep me sane. And these practices really made me just feel alive. I felt like I was walking in my divinity, even though my external world didn't necessarily reflect that. In addition to my daily habits, who and what you surround yourself with is important as well. I'd have the windows open and an essential oil diffuser going every morning to help circulate the energy around the house. I have my plants outside. I had a bunch of cats that are always around my place just to keep me company. I would make smoothies, things like that. And then lastly, because I didn't really have the space nor the money to buy material things, I invested in what I could in experiences. This is how I became a certified yoga teacher, got exposed to a Buddhist temple, attended Kundalini activations, participated in sister circles, and also traveled to Lovango's private beach resort, which is one of the smaller islands within the U.S. Virgin Islands. So although I wasn't, financially abundant, my time there was one of the most luxurious embodiments of spiritual abundance I've ever experienced. So this brings us to a close for today's episode. We talked about luxury as a lifestyle and not a destination. Who and what you surround yourself with is important, and focusing more on experiences rather than material things. In the next episode, we'll cover the intersection of material wealth and spirituality. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone who tuned in today. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to DM me on my Instagram. My handle is It's Giving Luxury Podcast. And please leave a review as well as share this podcast to family and friends. We are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I hope everyone has a great rest of the week and stay tuned for more content.